Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I'm up here bright and early. I wanted to get out before we have another 105-degree weather, here in Northern California. But I posted a question recently on social media, and it asked a very specific question for a very specific reason. And as a fairly new gardener, I'm always curious, like, how do professionals or like experienced gardeners have so much success in their garden? Like, what is it that makes their garden just thrive and look amazing? Now, obviously, it's the maturity of their garden, but also the maturity of the actual gardener, right? And so I asked a very specific question on social media, and I got some very, very, very great answers out of this. So I thought I'd share them today in our video. So the question was, hey, experienced gardeners, if you had to give your best singular piece of advice to other gardeners, what would it be? And again, when the answers came pouring in, I was like, these are great. So David came in right away and said, my best advice, don't worry about whether or not you have a green thumb, but instead concentrate on your brown thumb, referring to the health of your soil. He goes into this great detail about how soil health is the most important part of gardening, and it'd be tough to, disagree with him. Kim said, I almost neglect my plants at this point. Neglect often turns out to better results. Early on, I spent way too much time loving my plants and not enough time enjoying my plants. And I do that all the time. I come out here and I think look for things to do, and I overwater things, I over prune things. I'm guilty of that. Balaji, hopefully I'm saying that right, said gardening is one of the best options for kids. They need to spend far less time looking at their mobile devices and more time getting their hands dirty in the garden. So true. I have 3 kids, and getting them out here to put some hard work in is almost work in itself, right? Brian said the most important thing to know about gardening is what your plants need. Don't plant a cactus in the swamplands or a banana plant in the prairies of North Dakota. Man, that's great advice. Skip said, enjoy the little victories. That one hit home. I got a very young garden back here, and when you're piecing it together, you have obviously some victories, but also failures. Like this corner right here, I had a great camellia bush back there, and it just died. Like, I have no idea why it died. I probably loved it too much, but I have no idea why it died. And I was so excited about how that was going to fill in this spot right here of just a nice big bush of white flowers. And it just died. I have no idea why. But again, I've had some victories back here. Like this shade spot right here is so beautiful when it blooms. And, I should be thinking about that spot as opposed to that one bush that died. But anyways, let's see. Tammy said, the singular most important thing to know about your garden is the zone that you garden in. If you're not sure, you should check your USDA map. US zones are the most important thing about gardening. It'll tell you what you can and cannot grow, and it will also tell you all of your native plants that thrive in your area. Again, like I talked about here, we get 105-degree, 110-degree days during the summer for days in and days out. So planting plants that can take that kind of desert climate is so important. Elaine said, patience. Growing doesn't happen immediately. It's hard work, but satisfying. Patience is the hardest part about gardening. There's a gardener out there called the Impatient Gardener. And when I went to make my garden channel, that was like one of the first thoughts I had, and she totally beat me to it. But impatience is you're just like, have you seen those signs that say like, grow, damn it? I tell my garden that all the time. Elaine says, trial and error are to be expected. Welcome to the experimentation. It's all about relaxation brought through a process of hard work, not just the end product. Yeah, so you constantly hear that you're going to be adding things, tweaking things, changing things. Things are just going to die, like that plant there, and you're going to have to, battle through. Maybe that plant was not planted in the right spot. Who knows? But you got to find the alternative. Find something that'll thrive there. Helena said, start small, a couple of tomato plants, a couple of peppers, maybe a row of green beans. You'll be surprised at how much food you can produce. And starting small with small victories is also relaxing, therapeutic, fruitful. Man, it's just attacked. But so true, right? Like sometimes you start at this like grand scale and you think that you need all these plants, and you start planting not just the tomatoes and peppers that she said, but also like squash and zucchini. And then all of a sudden you're overwhelmed, and then a couple things die, and then you just kind of lose the motivation, right? John said, first and foremost, feed your soil, not your plants. Yes, plant-specific amendments are necessary for fruitful growing. Your soil health should be priority number one. So true. I'm sure John and David are best friends. And Victoria says, so the biggest mistake is to have lofty expectations but not factor in failures into your garden plans. And that is so, so true. I mean, not everything's going to thrive. Not everything's going to survive. You know, like I mentioned, I had a camellia bush here that died. This bay laurel tree right here, I had 5 of them and I'm down to 2 of them. And so again, there are some failures in the garden, but there's also some huge wins. Like for example, I took some random seeds from an Echinacea pallida that I wanted in my garden, and I was almost like sure or positive that they were not going to, you know, germinate, and they did. That's a huge win. I'm so happy that they germinated. But you know, this shade garden right here is beautiful. I should be celebrating that. So again, you have some failures and you have some wins in the garden, and you need to celebrate both of them. So coming up here, this part of my garden here is going to be about a year old. This part right here is about 6 months. This part's about 3 months. I've got a whole pool area and landscaped pool area. I've got some great containers. I've got a real new veggie garden on the other side. So I will be filming a garden tour coming up soon here. And I keep going back and forth on this. Like, I know my garden's not as beautiful as I see like on Instagram and other YouTube channels and things like that, but I love my garden and I want to show it off and I want to be proud of it and I want you to see it. So if you want to hang out again and you want to see that, consider hitting subscribe, because I haven't quite filmed that yet. I'll be filming that in the next couple of weeks, but if this video is a couple of weeks old, you'll be able to watch that here. But again, thanks for hanging out, and hopefully you do check out that video, and I'll catch you in the next one.